Good morning, scholars. Today is Monday, April 20th, 2020, day 14 of Mr. Correa's Math Virtual Learning. Scholars, this week we're going to focus on fractions. And today we're going to work on partitioning whole shapes into equal parts and identifying the unit fraction. Let's begin. Fractions are equal parts of a whole, and a whole is equal to 1. So scholars, when you hear the word whole, you can think of one whole apple, which is equal to 1 because it is one apple. Or you can think of one whole square, which is equal to 1. And to further drive in the point of a whole equaling to 1, this is where we are on the number line. One whole. A fractional unit shows how many equal parts a whole shape is partitioned into. For example, I have one whole square that is partitioned or cut into 2 equal parts. So the fractional unit of this square will be halves. I have a rectangle that is partitioned into 3 equal parts. The fractional unit for this rectangle will be thirds. And I have another square, which is cut into 4 equal parts. What will be the fractional unit of this square, class? You're correct. It will be fourths. Which wholes show fractional units? Let's look at this first rectangle. We can see that someone partitioned this rectangle into 2 parts, but are those parts equal? They are not. So, does this model or does this rectangle represent halves? You are correct. It does not, because the 2 parts are not equal. Let's look at this rectangle. Is this rectangle showing thirds? Excellent job. How do you know it's showing thirds? We have 3 equal parts. Let's count those equal parts, class. 1, 2, and 3. 3 equal parts make thirds. What about this rectangle here? I see one partition line, and these parts do look equal. Is this whole rectangle showing halves? It is showing halves. Excellent job, scholars. And last but not least, what about this rectangle? Is this rectangle showing thirds? Well, I see 3 parts, but are those parts equal? Excellent job. We can see that this top part is much longer than the 2 bottom parts. So this rectangle does not show thirds. There are 2 parts to a fraction. One part is called the numerator, which represents the number of equal parts named in a whole. The second part is a denominator, which shows the number of equal parts in a whole. For example, I have one whole rectangle that is cut into 4 equal parts. So the denominator will be 4, because the denominator represents the number of equal parts in a whole. To be for sure, let's count the equal parts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have this same rectangle, which was cut into 4 equal parts. However, you notice something, yeah? One part was shaded in. This represents the numerator, because the numerator tells us how many parts or how many equal parts are named. And when you hear the word named, I want you to think of something being shaded in a whole or something being taken away out of a whole. So we have 1 shaded, so the fraction will be 1/4. Fractions can be written in uniform and fraction form. For example, I have a whole square, which is equal to 1. The square was partitioned into 4 equal parts with one name. So the uniform will be the numeral 1 and the word fourth, which is 1/4. The fraction form for this same shape will be 1 fraction bar 4. Remember, the 1 is the numerator, which shows how many equal parts are named. And I see one green equal part, which shows that it is named. And the denominator is 4, which tells us this whole square was cut into 4 equal parts. Can you write the uniform and fraction form for this model? Let's see. What is a uniform? Excellent job. The uniform is the number 1 or the numeral 1 and the word third, which is 1/3. What is the fraction form? Excellent job. You're so intelligent. That is 1 fraction bar 3. And we state that as 1/3. Excellent job. Let's move on to another one. Can you write the uniform and fraction form for this model? Excellent job. The uniform is the numeral 1 and the word fourth. And the fraction form is 1 fraction bar 4. And we state this as 1/4. All right, so just a quick lesson review. Remember, fractions are equal parts of a whole, and there are 2 parts to a fraction, a numerator and a denominator. And we also can write fractions 2 different ways, in uniform and fraction form. This wraps up our lesson for today, scholars. I hope you all have a safe day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.